Welcome to The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right, good evening, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a good old day today. Nice Sunday night. Weekend was great. Hopefully yours is just as good as mine, which is always awesome. So with that said, tonight's going to be an interesting one. Berberine is a what they call an alkaloid, and we're going to go through, what all that means in the herbal world as well. So tonight's not just about understanding something, that can help with blood sugar, gut health, and losing weight a little bit. It's actually about understanding the mechanisms of what this amazing alkaloid does, right? And so with that, we have to have an understanding so that when we get sucked into these words that are used, peptide, different things that may or may not be exactly the best for us, I think this will give you some firepower into understanding this world. So with that said, that is what our title is tonight, Berberine Blueprint, blood sugar, gut health, and fat loss unlocked. So with that said, let's get into the first thing is I'm up to 71 subscribers on Rumble. I'm pretty pumped about that. Get some quality stuff. So hopefully I'm going to keep pushing it as usual. So our Rumble channel is called The Prize Inside on Rumble, or in the chat, I will place that in our little chat box in our Rumble link. And then we have one thing while I do this one, this is our YouTube one. This is our link. If you put in at The Prize Inside You, it should go to the Prize Inside podcast or YouTube. The videos are there as well. What I like about the videos is you can go through and it's very succinct, right? So, and then the one that I want you guys to always remember is tribe1.substack.com. So tribe1.substack.com is an email list that is just for my 1% tribers. We're up to like 56 people on there. It doesn't do anything but, do right now notifications that we come on or what time we come on. And my hope is that we'll get into like articles and, those kind of things. So watch for that. It's probably a good email list to get on. I just don't want to inundate. Email, it can be kind of tough because, as you go, you don't want to get inundated either. So tribe1.substack.com is that one. I'll put that in the link. And our final one that I always love is the podcast angle. So if you look up The Prize Inside, A Chiropractor's Journey on Spotify, any of the big players in iTunes, all those things, you can get on there, subscribe, and get the different shows that we do. So there is all those. Sunday's kind of my podcast day anyway. So I was listening to some phenomenal ones and some good little techie information, like like taking care of your feet, a lot of different ones that my podcast list is probably not the same as everybody else's. Lexi and I, my youngest daughter, share a Spotify account. And so, she just wants her own playlist kind of thing. So as she putting hers in, I put mine in, and she said she did some kind of algorithm thing, and it said that we age out in what we like for music and everything at like 67. I thought that was pretty funny. Her face was pretty awesome. I was like, well, honey, part of that was I was showing you the good stuff, man, the James Taylors of the world, and I was getting them into the good music. So I try to hit all her, when we driving somewhere, I try to get them some good classics so that they could love on that, the Neil Diamond stuff, all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, so with that said, tonight's going to be very interesting because it's one of those that I really want you to more understand what berberine is when you hear it and how to take it. What is this? What tool is this for our innate intelligence of our human body to actually express itself better? That's always what we're going for. Yes, Brian, you will like it. This one is very fascinating, by the way, because of how much research has been done. Now, I've had some latency lately, so it might take my thing a little bit to get rolling here. Oh, it did it. Good. Okay. I don't know if my internet is messing around or what, but it is being slow potatoes tonight. So hopefully this will go well. So the Berberine Blueprint, blood sugar, gut health, and fat loss unlocked. The big one, guys, and this one is the blood sugar. I know the fat loss thing is a big thing. The blood sugar is immense. Okay, so what we're going to go over tonight is what is berberine? What the heck is that? When we're saying it, what can it do for us? And when and what does it fit into our 1% tribe lifestyle? By the end of this hour, you will know why doctors in 2025 are quietly switching their diabetic patients from metformin to a 2,000-year-old yellow herb. And why celebrities are using it to stay lean without Ozempic. So this is a very, very good process in trying to do something that there's drugs out there that most of your MDs don't necessarily want to put you on, but they work for what they are. Berberine is one of those situations. Okay. So just to let you know what is happening, and it's real big right now, 2025, excuse me, berberine's been fantastic, used a lot more in the medical framework for different conditions. But what we're going to go over tonight, guys, is we have to remember those are conditions. Remember, we're not treating somebody for sicknesses, right? We're trying to make our body as healthy as we can, allowing the expression of our innate intelligence to take over. So that means we want to get out of that mindset. Oh, you got blood sugar. Maybe we try this. That's not really the why and the how. But berberine as a self, see what it does as a promoter of what your body needs and as a helper. And then the innate intelligence will start talking to you. Remember what the innate intelligence is of the human body. Your body, every single cell of your body has an intelligence within it. That's why everything communicates. Okay. And it's this lack of communication, this lack of intelligence, let's say through, for us, it's chiropractics, what they call subluxations. You could have 3 different ways to lack communication: thoughts, toxins, trauma. What berberine can do is adding it to our everyday life helps to regulate, helps to understand, helps to get us back into that flow of a normal homeostatic lifestyle. So just remember that as we go. Okay. So berberine is a bright yellow, very bitter compound. Yes, very, very bitter. If you're to take it, it's gross. But it's a natural alkaloid that has been used in medicine for over 2,000 years. Where it comes from, the natural sources are the barberry. It's Berberis vulgaris. That's the most common source. Golden seal, which we've talked about before. A lot of these have huge health benefits. Golden seal is one of those. Oregon grapefruit is another massive one. So these all three have berberine in it. Okay. Coptis chinesis is what they call Chinese gold thread. May not see that much on our side of the planet. And philodendron is from the hammer cork tree. So these are all ones that have, these are different plants that actually have berberine as one of the yellow bitter dye, or you see it with yellow, right? So that's the biggest thing. So in traditional healing, like Ayurvedic medicine, which is from India, and traditional Chinese medicine, they have prescribed these plants since at least 300 to 500 AD for not blood sugar, for infections, diarrhea, and inflammation. So you can see how it spans over to a different area. The active ingredient is responsible for almost all of the benefits that all of these plants have, and it's berberine. Okay, so we need to go over what berberine actually is. What it looks and tastes like, it's a vivid neon yellow powder. It was actually used as textile dyes, similar to methylene blue, which they found some huge, really good benefits as well. It's intensely bitter if you took it by itself. Even a tiny amount on your tongue tastes like an extremely strong grapefruit peel mixed with quinine. So it's a pretty intense one. Gross, basically. Okay. But the berberine class, this is what I want to talk about. Isoquinoline alkaloids. Okay, so isoquinoline alkaloids. So the berberine, which is in these plants, that's the active ingredient of the plant, is called in the herbal world, we call it isoquinoline alkaloids, or just call them berberine alkaloids. Okay. So these alkaloids, are famous for their strong antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, blood sugar lowering, and bitter tonic effects. So let's say, for instance, we're suffering with pain, possibly from inflammation of certain things, and blood sugar problems. This could be a really, really good opportunity to see if this would work for you, right? They're one of the few alkaloid plant classes that we're going to go over what this is, that directly activate AMPK and influence GLP-1 secretion, which is why berberine punches way above its weight compared to most herbs. Okay, so we're going to go over what AMPK is as well. So don't worry about that yet. So when someone asks what type of herb berberine is, it is a alkaloid. It's an isoquinoline alkaloid, but it's not a flavonoid, which we've actually talked about. That's another nice active ingredient of plant, a terpene or a saponine. These are all different ones. We'll probably go over them at some point in our herbal classifications as well. But this one just has a lot of metabolic strength to it. So remember berberine. It's not just one plant. So when you go to the store, it's not a plant of berberine, right? It could be the barberry, it could be the golden seal, but that's what the active ingredient is, berberine. Okay. How does it work? How does the alkaloid work? It all comes from what I learned in herbals. Alkaloids in the herbal world, if they have the last letters of INE, so berberine, INE, right? They act similar to what they call a neurotransmitter. Most of you, hopefully you guys know what a neurotransmitter is. It's the chemical that your nerves basically produce to communicate with other nerves. Okay, so it's a neurotransmitter from one nerve to another nerve. It's essentially what that is. It needs a chemical signal And that's what a neurotransmitter is. So it has a very good nervous system situation. A good ion that we've talked about before is a nervine. Okay. So these are some different alkaloids. Okay. These are not berberine alkaloids. These are just they're alkaloids in that family of the ions. Okay. So most alkaloids taste bitter and are alkaline, which is kind of funny. So the ion has nothing to do with the alkaline. You have acidic or alkaline, right? So that's what that comes from. The classic examples of alkaloids, right? Berberine's one of the classes of this. Okay. But these are some classic examples of alkaloids: caffeine, nicotine, morphine and codeine, quinine, atropine, cocaine, right? So it's very interesting. So caffeine, it's a stimulant type alkaloid. Nicotine is an addictive stimulant. That one we could go into because that one has some real actual great health benefits, actually. Morphine and codeine from the poppy, which is fascinating. Quinine, which is anti-malarial, which is from the cinchona bark. Atropine, which is from the deadly nightshade, and it actually will dilate your pupils. And cocaine from the coca leaves. So these are all ions. These are all herbs that people have found to make chemical drugs out of them, right? And the final one that we're talking about tonight is berberine. So the berberine active alkaloid is an antimicrobial and a metabolic regulator. So those are two huge. That's one reason I love the idea of berberine and what we're talking about tonight, because of what it says: metabolic regulation, not control. Not I'm going to tell you how it's going to go, but regulation. Okay, so let's talk about AMPK so you guys have an understanding, because we kind of know what GLP-1 is. We've gone over that, and we'll go over it a little bit later too. AMPK is this thing called adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. And when you all have to take the test, because I'm going to make sure I know who's on, so they have to take the test. You'll have to repeat that. But it's your cell's master metabolic regulator. Okay. So this is a chemical found in your cell that they've deemed the master metabolic regulator. It's also it's often called the energy sensor or the cellular fuel gauge. That's a huge deal. And so that berberine actually affects this is a huge, huge plus for it. When AMPK is turned on, your body switches from storage mode, gaining fat, high blood pressure, into burn and repair mode. Okay. So it burns fat for fuel, improves insulin sensitivity, builds new mitochondria, which is amazing, lowers inflammation, and promotes longevity pathways. Think of AMPK when it's turned on as anti-aging, a fat loss, blood sugar stabilizing button inside every single cell. Exercise, fasting, cold exposure naturally activate AMPK, but very few natural compounds activate it as strongly as drugs do, except berberine. So that's one reason our society actually struggles with these issues, right? Berberine, which of course nature makes it nasty, right? Makes it super bitter and yellow, is where we're at, right? So how does berberine activate this AMPK? So berberine directly and potently switches AMPK on, okay? And so actually, here's what's crazy. In the study, when I was researching this stuff, berberine actually turns this AMPK on stronger than metformin does in a lot of the studies. So just remember that. It does this in two ways. It can mildly inhibit the you guys don't need to know all this, but the mitochondrial complex 1 in the mitochondria, raising your ATP ratio, which we'll go into at some point. AMPK then senses the low energy, so it drops your energy in a sense, and then it flips on the AMPK. Okay. And it can directly activate AMPK through the liver as well. Okay, so results, that's a lot to go through on the AMPK stuff. You don't need to know all the chemical pieces of it, but just knowing that look what it does. It's one of the chemicals. If I can get this thing to be the master metabolic regulator of the cell, this AMPK, is adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. That's pretty amazing. And it can burn fat, improve insulin sensitivity, builds new mitochondria, lowers inflammation, promotes longevity pathways. That's pretty amazing. But results in the real numbers, though, in the actual human trials, we'll go over dosages and stuff as well. So between 500 and 1,500 milligrams of berberine daily activates this AMPK to the same degree as 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of metformin, but often with better glucose and lipid outcomes and far few gut side effects. Anything natural is going to have the advantage, right, of less and less side effects. If it's a food necessarily, then we're going to have less side effects, right? Metformin, one of the hardest things about it, side effects. Pretty brutal when we have those kind of situations. So this is the study they did. They did it with metformin. So I just want to make sure, you guys don't worry about it too much if you're taking, metformin is what your doctor needs you to take. So through all of this, remember, I'm not saying stop any, and this is not doctor's advice. I just want you to know what berberine does. Okay. So berberine is an amazing herb that needs to be talked about. And we're going to do that. Maybe that's why my internet was latent tonight. Very latent. I was like, oh, okay. So now, not only does berberine do AMPK, there's this other thing. I thought I'd throw all these cool chemical regulators out there for you guys. This one's called PCSK9. PCSK9. So it's protein convertase. This is an enzyme. Okay. Enzyme sublistinate kexin type 9. This is a protein made mainly in the liver that acts like a recycling truck for LDL receptors, cholesterol receptors. That's kind of cool. So you didn't even know you had some PCSK9 in you, did you? Well, this protein helps the liver with LDL cholesterol receptors. How it works. Your liver has LDL receptors on its surface that grab LDL, the bad cholesterol, from the blood and pull it inside to be cleared. The PCSK9 binds to those receptors and tags them for destruction inside the cell. The result is fewer LDL receptors. LDL cholesterol stays high in the blood, higher risk of plaques and heart disease. Okay. That's the normal situation. Okay. If you have high PCSK9, that means it's a bad situation. It means you have fewer LDL receptors. Does that make sense? Fewer ways to get rid of the bad cholesterol. So you end up with more cholesterol. When you have low PCSK9, that's good idea, which is you have more ways to get rid of the bad cholesterol, and the liver will clear the bad cholesterol faster. So berberine strongly inhibits PCSK9, right? So it inhibits it. It slows it down. And so because this protein's not as available, you're able to clear more bad cholesterol. Okay, so in human studies, 500 to 1500 milligrams a day lowered the PCSK9 levels by 25 to 40%, which allowed the LDL receptors to grab the bad cholesterol, and it essentially being able to get rid of it through the liver. And there is why you get lower LDL cholesterol in your blood. Okay. So, which is great because that's what we want. It lowers the triglycerides and raises the high HDL. Now, why do I say these things? Why do you care? Because one of the keys to understanding every herb is not utilization in the sense of I need this because our healthcare model has decided that you have these different conditions. I want you to know what it can do overall for your entire body by being able to understand that it can do these things, right? Turn on the metabolic regulator of your cells, right? Getting all that benefit, which sounds to me like a plan, right? And then you have this PCSK9, you're actually, keeping it down so that you can get rid of the LDL cholesterol. Sounds like a pretty good supplement, okay? But we got to talk about that tells us the importance of understanding how to use it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So what are some of the other benefits of berberine as the alkaloid? It increases insulin receptor sensitivity. Okay. So in head-to-head trials, it actually worked better than metformin. It boosts GLP-1 secretion, same pathway as the semaglutide chemical that costs you a ton of money. So that's how that goes. Improve gut micro. Here's one that no drug is actually going to be able to say, but berberine can. Improves gut microbiome diversity and reduces lipopolysaccharides. It can help improve our gut microbiome. Okay. Mitochondrial biogenesis is another thing. So it's actually creating mitochondria in the cells as well, just from one stinking plant. That's pretty awesome. And not that many plants in the herbal world are as powerful as this one. Okay. So we'll go through this comparison and then we'll start talking. Okay. Berberine versus metformin versus Ozempic. This is a 2024-2025 evidence-based comparison. And I'll read it so you guys hear it, but this is, where's it at? So there's a bunch of studies. It's down in the thing, the Shadari et al. Frontiers in Pharmacology, ongoing 2024 data. There's tons of different places I can get all this for you. But here's it. In the fast evolving world of metabolic health, berberine, a plant-derived alkaloid supplement, remember, alkaloids just a part of the plant, metformin, the gold standard oral diabetes drug, and Ozempic, which is a GLP-1 antagonist injection, are often pitted against each other for blood sugar control. Alternative with weight loss and overall efficiency. Drawing from recent clinical studies and meta-analysis, berberine shines as a natural alternative with comparable glycemic effects to metformin, but milder side effects, making it ideal for those intolerant to GI issues. However, it does fall short of Ozempic's dramatic weight loss prowess, and we'll talk about that, which can deliver 10 to 15% body weight reduction, but at a higher cost and risk of discontinuation due to nausea and muscle loss. Key insights from the data. Efficacy edge. Ozempic leads in weight loss, about 8 to 12% of body weight in 6 to 12 months, while berberine and metformin offer modest, similar glucose-lowering HB1 drops 0.5 to 1%, and 2 to 5 pound fat loss over 3 to 6 months. So that's why a lot of doctors decided the Ozempic way. Well, and that it's like the they haven't seen a boom on profitability on a drug since Viagra. That's a true story. So tolerability. Berberine wins with 80 to 90% fewer GI problems than metformin, and Ozempic's nausea effects about 44% initially. And here's the other one that is really big. Cost and access. Berberine, 15 to $30 a month over the counter, gets you as much as versus metformin, which is $5 to $10 a month, I guess, and Ozempic, which is $900 to $1,200 a month without insurance. Supposedly that's coming down somehow, but still not going to make you healthier. Just have your wallet a little bit. Yeah. Oh, good question. The Berberine, as I keep talking, Brian said the Berberine I had gave me lots of GI trouble. What that is, typically, if Berberine ends up giving you GI trouble, it's typically it's almost too much for you in the beginning. So you have to like slowly work your way to it. The other thing is it tells you your gut wasn't ready. So like with your gut microbiome might be off. So there's two major ones, but it can happen. I have that happen with turmeric, ginger, bromelain as well. So some of the supplements, like one of the major supplements I give for anti-inflammatory for back pain, headaches kind of thing. Sometimes you can have a gut issue right in the beginning. So a lot of times you'll have to slow play it into your world, and we'll get into that. But yes, it can be normal because it does have a gut health effect. And so sometimes that, remember, symptoms, that doesn't mean necessarily that it's a bad thing either, right? So the GI trouble sometimes is a signal that something is going on. It just might be in a positive too. Okay. So that's what I wanted you guys to see as far as the evidence of different situations. Berberine stacks up really, really well. And there's lots of ways to use it. So don't get caught just in, like how it works for one different area. It could be a lot of different ones. How do you use it? Okay. So this is where we're going to go through several ways to use it, not just weight loss and, blood sugar regulation. Because when you get a supplement that is out that can do so many things. One of the things I love about learning what I did, chamomile marks so many boxes in a lot of herbal actions, and it's super nice on you. Okay. Berberine is another powerful one. This one marks a ton of boxes as well, but it's also one we don't want to take all the time. And we'll talk about that because we want our body to do this thing called homeostasis. Homeostasis is your body wants to allow this regulation, and we always want that. The downside of metformin and the other one, the GLP-1 stuff, is it takes away the body's ability to create homeostasis for itself. We want our bodies to be able to self-regulate, right? And if we can get away with something like this, then it could be fantastic. It's just like taking either of those. I'm not going to talk bad about either of those drugs because some people have actually had to utilize them, those drugs, to get to a certain point. The problem is if we don't know that what our ultimate goal is to be healthier and normalize these situations, that's when it gets in trouble, right? So that's the tough part. But okay, so how do you use it? So the best form to take it we have this at the office. There's lots of different ways, but because of the bitterness and the absorption problem, so it has kind of a similar absorption problem that like turmeric does. If you ever saw my turmeric talk, the gut doesn't like it, doesn't absorb really well by itself. So that's why they have to do some stuff sometimes. Okay. So the best one is called dihydroberberine. Okay. So there's two brands here, Glucovantage and Berberine Phytosome. We have one for my herbal Amish people. I love it. This is one I keep forgetting to put in my on a regular basis, though. So I haven't done it as much. So if you guys are in the office, take it with me. We'll see how it goes. But it's worth it. It's really cheap, but it's a gold penny, or it's a gold standard. Berberine HCl plus sodium. Usually this one is good. So there's this one called Berberine Pro, or Thorn Berberine 500 is another one. This one they say is it could be better than the dihydroberberine, and it's almost as good as the dihydroberberine, but it's actually cheaper. A lot of these, and a lot of times with the HCl and sodium, I think that is because they do that one for absorption, and then the other is because of the gut health stuff. So like where your GI gets a little issue. So a lot of these, the Berberine HCl could be a big one. This one's kind of cool. Berberine HCl, so hydrochloric acid, right? So HCl is that. Piperine, if you remember what piperine is, it's the same thing we do to activate with turmeric. Piperine goes in as black pepper, and that black pepper helps activate it. So I'm guessing berberine is the same way. And then MCT is that MCT oil, where it all comes in. It's a good runner-up. So these are three different ways: the hydroberberine, berberine HCl plus sodium caprate, berberine HCl plus piperine plus MCT. That is another great one. Okay. So there is that. All right. All right. How do we use it? Okay. So here's where it gets interesting, because it depends on what you're doing. So, and you're going to notice one major part. So we are going to do these in runs, ladies and gentlemen. We talk about herbs all the time. One of the biggest things is don't take it all the time. You don't have to. The biggest thing is having a great multivitamin, getting your greens in, oils, a lot of these different things. But we don't have to take everything all the time. Why? Because we want the shock and awe of our body. If we take it all the time, then the AMPK that we talked about just now will constantly have a backup. The GLP-1 will constantly be activated, right? And doing more and more. But you want your body to naturally do it. That's the difference. And that's why berberine, when I show you this, here's two parts of herbs that drive me crazy. One, we don't take enough in the outset. So we don't know it works. So like a good one is turmeric. Okay. So turmeric, I'll have people do huge amounts of turmeric in the beginning and then back off because your body needs to produce it. Right. But we don't have to take it all the time. If you get to a place where you don't have to take it, you don't necessarily have to take it. Now you'll have to build it back up. You want to take what they call a therapeutic dose. So what we do is we don't take enough to make the effect, but then we take it for too long to where your body gets kind of used to like having all these herbs around. And your body's like, well, I don't have to do this and I don't have to do that. Almost similar to a medicine. So that's one of the problems. What our job is to get that in our innate intelligence to work perfectly. And that's why herbals are so fantastic, but at the same time, understanding how to use them. So each one of these is going to be a short run. Okay. So you're going to give yourself time off of taking these as we go, no matter what your condition necessarily is or what you're kind of helping your body with. Okay. So that's what I like saying. It's a helping body with. So blood sugar and pre-diabetes. Let's go through that. So they want to split that between 1,000 and 1,500 milligrams. You want to take 500 milligrams 10 to 15 minutes before your two biggest meals. Why? This one's very specific. just taking Berberine activates stuff, does it not? If it activates stuff, that AMPK, that PCSK9, right? We want to make sure that we're doing this before your two biggest meals, but not on an empty stomach or something, because it's one of those that your gut will respond, right? So it starts to kick over these cellular processes. This one says do that. You want to split that in the day, right? Over your two biggest meals, about 500 milligrams, 10 to 15 minutes before your two biggest meals. 12 weeks on, 4 weeks off. Don't let your body get lazy. It's just like working out. I just switched mine from a high intensity workout to strengthening workout today, right? I take a few weeks and I do high intensity stuff, and then I'll switch because the body loves the challenge and the different stuff. Okay. Weight loss and insulin resistance. Okay. So this is how they use, this is not me talking. This is what they recommend on everything. So weight loss and insulin resistance, 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams split, 500 milligrams, 10 minutes or so before breakfast, lunch, and dinner to get up to the 1,500. Weight loss and insulin resistance, if you're a higher issue, it's 12 to 16 weeks on and about 4 weeks off. This one is, we didn't talk about it because there's a lot to Berberine. I didn't realize how many slides I could make up on this. PCOS and metabolic syndrome. Remember what AMPK is. AMPK is the metabolic cellular regulator. So if that is true, then Berberine could have a nice effect if somebody has these conditions causing them major problems. PCOS is polycystic ovary syndrome, or / metabolic syndrome is the other. It's just another two pretty similar category. So they are saying take 1,500 milligrams of Berberine in those different forms, and plus myo-inositol, which is a B vitamin, right? Same as above. So you take same as above, you split it between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? And just make sure you take some inositol, 2 to 4 grams of inositol at night. But this one is one that you want to do with your doctor. Okay. So just kind of because we want to take labs and do all those things to monitor how you're doing with your inflammation and your metabolic syndrome. Okay. So here's the biggest one at the very end. This is what I want you to think about, because a lot of my 1% tribers always looking for the maintenance and longevity. Okay. And this is the one I love. Maintenance and longevity. Because remember, it does mitochondrial cells, right? It does your LDL levels, all these kind of cool things. Maintenance and longevity, take 500 to 1,000 milligrams with dinner only, 5 days on, 2 days off. Okay. Sometimes you could do continuous. I would say I would go 5 days on, 3-4 days off, do it again. Fantastic way to get your body to start regulating, kickstart those processes that need to get their butt kicked a little bit. Okay. But always take it 10 to 15 minutes before the meal so that you can get the activation going. Okay. So this is where it gets fun. Hopefully I didn't overwhelm you, because there was a lot on Berberine. I was picking, I used AI. I was like, okay, let's use, find some really hot topic herbs just to talk about. And a lot of them, they must be listening to the 1% tribe, because all of them we've talked about, almost the top 5, which is awesome. Ginger, turmeric, all those kind of things. But Berberine came up there, and I know there's a lot of people that would like to do something other than the situation with the GLP-1, scenario, because it's nerve-wracking and super pricey. So Berberine could be that answer. So just remember, when you're taking it, remember therapeutic dosages, right? And you don't have to take it forever. It doesn't mean you have to take it every day. And it's gross, guys. Just ready. It's bitter. Be ready for that. But at the very end of this, I always end now in my herbals. If Julie's on, she knows we started doing recipes to make the very bitter stuff not taste as bitter. It'll be very interesting. Oh, they do. They make it. Oh, that's a good one. They make a quercetin. They can make a quercetin in berberine. That is fantastic. Remember what quercetin does, right? So quercetin, very good. I believe even in the stuff that I was thinking, I researched that quercetin actually helps berberine activate, just like piperine. But quercetin is also one of my favorites to allow zinc to get into your cells. So like right now, remember our cold one or flu or whatever, it was vitamin D, C, and zinc, right? Quinine or quercetin to make sure that those things are getting in there, right? Because it's a nervine, all those kind of things. But a quercetin allows the zinc to absorb into your cells. Berberine, in my opinion, makes me say anything that's good for your cells is a great supplement to take. You're going to have a hard time convincing me that anything in the chemical world that deals with blood sugar or weight loss is going to be good for your cells. That's why taking a chance on this is not, a chance necessarily. So thank you, Dessa, for that. I appreciate it. That's awesome. And you guys are getting into the chat bots. I love this. Remember, I can always show it on the screen and take questions too. So this one is the first recipe. This is in case you want to do, it's a very interesting one. It's called the Golden Fat Burner Shot. This is one that's very popular on X and TikTok. Okay. So you take one capsule of 500 milligrams berberine HCl or 100 to 150 milligram dihydroberberine. You open it, and then you put it in 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, half a teaspoon of Ceylon, CEYLON cinnamon, cinnamon, which cinnamon acts kind of like a turmeric-y, very good anti-inflammatory. MCT oil, which a lot of times you'll see that with ketogenesis, fat burning and all those kind of things. Very good. So you add 1 teaspoon of MCT oil or coconut oil. That'll help the absorption rate. A pinch of sea salt, a pinch of cayenne. Trust me on this one. Make it a pinch if you're a big wuss like I am. I've tried I tried a detox like this once. Holy mother of all things. If you get like pure cayenne, start low. I promise you, unless you're into heat. Holy mother of God. Okay. So, and then you add all of this stuff to 2 to 3 ounces of warm water, not hot, but warm. Shake it hard in a small jar. Shoot it 10 to 15 minutes before your biggest meal. Tastes like a spicy lemonade. I'm sure it does. If you put too much cayenne pepper, I'm sure it's not going to taste like a spicy lemonade. Thousands of people start their day with this. I like this one. I might actually do this as well. So this one doesn't sound as bad as long as it's a pinch of cayenne pepper. And you rub your hands, or you wash your hands after the pinch. Remember that as well. All right, so that one's called, and if you want to look it up online, it's called the Golden Fat Burner Shot. The Golden Fat Burner Shot. Okay, here's another one. I like this one personally. I think these would be an amazing idea. Berberine, and these are all things I have not tried, guys. So just remember that. If you find them delicious, let me know. Berberine and dark chocolate fat bombs, berberine and dark chocolate fat bombs. So this one, you take 100 grams of 85 to 100% dark chocolate, 2 tablespoons of MCT oil or cocoa butter, and then you add 1 to 2 teaspoons of the Ceylon cinnamon. So then, in the cinnamon's where the berberine is, right? So stir in 5 to 10 empty berberine capsules. Oh, sorry. That's not where this berberine is. Stir into 5 to 10 emptied berberine capsules, which is like a lot, 2,500 to 5,000 milligrams of berberine. Pour into a silicone mold, freeze 20 minutes. Each bomb has 500 milligrams of berberine. Keep in the fridge, grab and eat 15 minutes before meals. That sounds amazing, actually. And we're probably going to try some of these. So I'll probably in the next week to bring you back to this video, we'll be doing that. All right. Well, I think this is my last one that I really thought was good too. It's called the Berberine yogurt bowl. So this one is 3/4 cup Greek yogurt or coconut yogurt but a full fat. So you want to make sure it's as fatty as you can get. 500 milligram berberine. Open a capsule, mix it in. 1 tablespoon of the cinnamon that I keep struggling with the name. Handful of blueberries or raspberries. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds. And you can add a little bit, like 2 grams of the myo-inositol powder, which is tasteless. And it will, because it has so much fat and protein in it, the bitterness doesn't pick up, but it also helps immensely with absorption. Anytime you add fat or protein, a lot of times you can get these ones. Turmeric's a great example of that as well, where you can get really good absorption through that. Okay. I think, if you use the one that they talked about, the dihydroberberine, which they call it glucovantage, it's almost tasteless, but you can literally stir it into your coffee or protein shakes with 0 grit or bitterness. Okay. The reason I do that is because the first time you try one of these bitter ones, man, it's easier to take the tasteless pill or the tasteless injection, right? Tough to eat the good stuff, right? So what's cool about this, though, is I think this is it. I think we're going to end. Yeah. So what we're going to do is get some berberine. Don't do it forever. Try to slow play yourself up to what a therapeutic dose should be. Check in. If you have a major issue with blood sugar or any of those things, talk to your doctor first, though. Make sure that we're always doing the right thing. Don't do anything crazy. But the biggest thing is like understanding what berberine, I hope, understanding how it works really makes this, I hope one time in our life that this might be going uptick in most utilized for our blood sugar because of the other stuff. Did you see all that? Anti-inflammatory, helps with the immune response. It does all these things, right? That others are very specific. Like your semaglutide, it only goes after the GLP-1. It doesn't do this AMPK that actually can create healthy mitochondria for you. So you're getting, instead of side effects, you're getting a bunch of positive effects other than what you're intending to take it for. That's pretty amazing. So it's worth the effort, right? I might try my personal favorite. I might try because I have the stuff for the shot. Just the first one I did, guys. A patient showed me this one. I went exactly on the ingredients. Oh my God. Cayenne pepper straight like that. I thought I was going to die. I am not a heat guy. So a lot of times you got to be careful. If you don't like heat, cayenne is hot, but it's really good for you. And it's really good for your metabolism as well, but just a little tiny bit. That's it. But hopefully you enjoyed this one. Berberine is a fantastic one. I hope to utilize it when I'm working with people in their gut microbiome. Like as we go at the office, is getting more and more popular. I'm loving it. People are working with us a lot more on these different metabolism situations. Rachel and I have been having a blast with it. So if you have any questions on it, just let us know. But tonight was hopefully informative enough to get you to understand what you're doing, right? And just remember, in all herbs, it's the same. You can stop, you can start, you can do whatever. But we want a perfect innate intelligence. That's what we're going for. We're trying to make our homeostasis, our balance of our body better. And by giving us aids, right? A good example that's not this. Let's say I took a natural digestive enzyme supplement, right? So if I take a natural digestive enzyme supplement, but I take it for a really long period of time, then guess what? My body stops. The innate intelligence, it's smart. So it's going to stop producing the digestive enzymes. That's the problem. Even though it's natural, it's potentially will stop being produced. Therefore, you will have problems when you get off of the digestive enzymes. However, if you take them and then get off of them, and then take them and then get off of them, it could be really, really good utilizing stuff like that. There's so many supplements like that. And think about that in the scale. All that happens in drugs, though, a lot of times is it scales up to where you absolutely cannot get off of them. They work very, very well in the chemical processes they do. But what are they hurting? You know what I mean? Or it's the side effects. Is it worth the side effects? Those kind of things. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. And we will see you. Don't forget Wednesday night when we go over Whole Health Weekly, which is fantastic. We go over all the articles of the week in social media and mainstream media. So with that said, you guys have a great night and have a great week. It'll be fantastic. See you later.